Do you like big things? I like big things. Do you like big monsters? It's my second favorite thing. Welcome to the Monster Zone.
Greetings, everyone. This is... Damn, I always want to do what you already did, but you already do the greeting. Welcome back. I'm going to start by introducing our esteemed co-host, Mr. Parker.
Whoa.
He makes it entertaining. Oh, good Lord, what happened?
Oh, my God.
Was it the beer?
I think a black scorpion just went down my throat. Oh, my God. Hello, everybody.
Puberty again. It's okay.
Yes, I'm going backwards. I'm Benjamin Button.
Do have second puberty. You have second puberty. It's a thing.
Okay.
It is. And sometimes you have a fourth.
Oh, why do you keep pointing at me?
It's your turn next.
Okay.
It's my beautiful wife, Angela.
My name's just wife.
It's wife. It really is. I have introduced her that way sometimes.
This is my beautiful wife. What? It's what? Oh, you have a name. Oh, sorry.
My apologies.
He was in a conversation with his cousin one time, and he's like, I was talking to my wife, and I'm like, dear, I know them. They know me. I have a name.
It's like when my brother would talk to me about something, he'd go, my dad. I was like, you do realize we have the same dad, right?
Yes.
I'll do that to my brother. I'm like, well, your mom does. And he's like, we have the same mom. It's like, so
what?
It's funny watching Ridley and Victor not fight, but they pick at each other, and Victor's like, your mom, and I'm like, yes.
Hello.
That's me.
And of course, I am the nose, Dan. So
The nose
introduce myself. The nose always knows, except when it doesn't. Today, we are talking about the 1957. We're going back a year from what we just recorded. 1957. I'm going to say classic because I like this movie. Spoiler, we'll talk about it later. TheBlackScorpion. Yes. Who did this movie? Who was the production company for this? I can't.
So this is Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers. But while you're at it, Parker.
At the end.
What now?
And I was like, Warner Brothers.
They did everything here at this time. They did all the monster stuff. Parker, while you're at it, you go ahead and let us know about the film.
So this was directed by Edward Ludwig, who has pretty much started in the 20s. So in the early times of filmmaking. Directed films all the way up until 1963. This was actually his third to last movie he ever directed. He did Swiss Family Robinson, 1940. Just looking kind of through some of the movies, anything I recognize, but like I said, it's literally 20s and 30s, and that's an era of film I'm not super knowledgeable on. This man was born in 1899, which is wild to think about.
That's nuts, dude.
This was written by Robert Blies and David Duncan.
Fake name.
Yep, 100%. Nothing I recognize from Robert Blies, David Duncan, similar stuff. Nothing that I totally recognize. This stars David Denning, who
Richard Denning.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Richard Denning, yes. He was in Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Fuck yeah, he was.
Yes. He was in I Love Lucy.
Look at that.
He was in a show that was a forerunner of I Love Lucy called My Favorite Husband, which starred Lucille Ball.
How many husbands did she have?
I mean, on TV, probably a couple. He was in a movie called An Affair to Remember, 1957, but it did A Creature with the Atom Brain in 1955, Day the World Ended in 1955, Unknown Island in 1958, and he passed away in 1998. So.
As many movies as he was in that, like the 50s and 60s, like that was it. Like he had a few after, but most of the stuff was in the 50s. It looked like.
Yeah, I guess the 40s. A lot of 50s movies.
He's that atypical though man of that era, who's just very
manly.
Yes, this is what we're gonna do. Yes. I am going to get my woman now. Like, it's just I've seen so many movies from the 50s and 60s. It's like, yep, he fits that mold perfectly.
He's got that ridiculous, like this chiseled fucking chin. Bam!
I love the movie posters from movies from like the 20s and 30s, 40s, 50s. It's all like screenshots from the movie.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, what's going on here? Like half the time, it's like out of context. I love it.
Fun fact though. So we have Mara Corday, who she's still alive. She's 93 years old.
Oh, awesome.
Oh.
She was in a movie that Dan has talked about a lot. A movie that he says is very bad.
Oh, yeah,
The
she
Giant
is.
Claw. There's actually a few
Oh.
actors in this movie who were in The Giant Claw.
Oh no, he loves it.
I fucking love
I
that
think
movie.
it's
But did you say it's like
weird.
not a very good movie though? Like,
Oh yeah, it's great because
production-wise,
of how
yeah.
bad it is. Oh yeah, it's
that,
so
that-
good.
which that came out the same year as this, because you said this was
Yes, it did.
1957. So
Yep.
that's
Dude,
pretty funny.
Look at it.
in the late 50s, like 57 and
It's
58, so many
50s.
fucking monster movies came out. American monster movies in those years. It's ridiculous.
And she was a Playboy playmate.
Oh.
Ooh-wee. Also, she has a terrible accent in this movie.
Oh, absolutely.
Terrible accent. But yeah, this was also filmed in Mexico. This was a Mexican and U.S. production, so we did have. I mean, it takes place in Mexico City, and so we have some Hispanic and Mexican actors in the movie. We
Which
have
is good.
Carlos Rivas as Dr. Arturo Ramos, who I believe was Hank Scott's partner, right?
Yes.
We have Mario Navarro, who was Juanito, who I believe was the little kid.
Oh, fuck.
He's the worst. We have
Yes.
Carlos Musquez as Dr. Velasco. We have Pascal Garcia Pena as Dr. De La Cruz. Pedro Galvan as Father Delgado, who I think you see only in one scene in this movie. Arturo Martinez as Major Cosio, and Fanny. I'm sorry. Why am I laughing? I'm such a child. Fanny Schiller as Florentina.
Fanny means butt.
Yes. Speaking of amazing, the thing about this movie is it has amazing stop motion work, and it was done by literally the man who made it what it is, and that is Willis O'Brien, the man behind King Kong in 1933. He also and Mighty Joe Young, and he would be the man who would pretty much bring up another legend, Ray Harryhausen, who would go on to do a bunch of amazing work throughout his career. Clash of the Titans as a prime example. I thought this was a Harryhausen movie, not a Willis O'Brien movie. So I'm gonna just tell you how I watched this movie. I had to watch this movie on Tubi because it said it was on like 4 different things. Tubi was one of them. But the only way I could watch. Where did you guys watch it, by the way?
I just rented it on Amazon.
Okay.
I couldn't find it anywhere else.
So yeah, it was on Tubi, but it was the Mystery Science Theater 3000 version of the movie. So that's how I watched it. And to be honest, it really didn't take away any of the movie. I mean, of course, you get them kind of doing their commentary over the movie, but you still were able to, I wasn't distracted where I was like, what just happened? What went on with this? Because to be honest, not a lot happens in this movie to justify, I just thought it was pretty funny. And it's an old Mystery Science Theater episode. It's like from like
Joel?
It was from 1990. So
before
my time. Yeah.
Damn, that's early.
Yeah. So that was how I watched the movie, because I was very confused. I'm like, is there not any other way of watching this? I didn't even think about renting it because I was like, oh, it's on Tubi. I don't have to buy it. Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, that's what we found. I found it too free. I was like, well, I'm not going to watch the MST3K version. I have it. I own the physical copy. I could not find it. For the life of me. I have no idea where it is. I know it's somewhere. I went through all the DVDs. I just couldn't find it. But at least you found a way to watch it. So.
Oh yeah, I watched it, and yeah, like I said, it didn't really take me out of the experience. I mean, this is another movie that is very similar to the episode that you guys listened to earlier in the month with Varen. Is the effects are what keep me invested in this movie. The human aspect of this movie is so disinteresting. Like, I'm so not interested in some of the things that happen with the human characters. I'm just like, can I just see more of those awesome stop motion scorpions, please? Because they're awesome. They're so good. They're so realistic. It's unbelievable how good they look. And it's like, this is 1957. You could just tell how well evolved Willis O'Brien was at this time. Because if you think about like King Kong is early Willis O'Brien work, 1933. This is early. So when you watch that movie, you see King Kong. He's very jerky. Like any stop motion in those early movies are very jerky because you could tell it's it's new. This is so smooth. These scorpions look real. Like they look real. They move very realistic. There's no jerky motions. They are like the movements are just perfect. And that's what I was super invested in, was just the creature effects, except for the close-ups of the scorpion.
Yeah.
They looked like them. Which is funny because the sounds that the scorpions make in this movie are the same sounds that the ants make in them, which is hilarious to think. And to be honest, the scorpion close-ups look exactly like the ant close-ups in them, which is just hilarious.
Well, they added a few extra like sounds to it, and I was like, I wonder if Parker's going to find this one quite as annoying.
It was still quite annoying because it happens a lot. Like anytime you see the scorpion, it's just constant.
Yep. And I knew it was coming up, and I was like, oh, Parker's really going to like this one. I said this like forever ago. We did it, on the wheel for it or whatever, and it's like,
I said the close-ups look like Cabbage Patch Dolls, but it's more like Garbage Pail Kids.
The thing I don't understand is the eyes like right in the front when the eyes were clearly like more on the top of a scorpion.
Right.
But it's like it's got like this huge mouth that has like cheeks.
It does have cheeks.
Everything is, mouth version is right here, but then you've got all this here, and then their eyes are like huge.
Yes. P.S. By the way, guys, not how real scorpions look. If you've never seen one up close, no.
I mean, when they show the full size ones, they look pretty good.
The stop motions are much closer than the puppet, whatever.
The music was done by Paul Sawtell. He was well known for coming up with a lot of the music for very early Tarzan films throughout like the 40s, 50s, and 60s.
It's so fucking stock, dude. It sounds so fucking stock. No offense to the guy. I've heard this music in other movies. I swear to God.
He's got credits all the way from 1944 to 1971. It's not as memorable as when we talked about Varen. Definitely not as memorable as those soundtracks. It's very just generic. I don't want to say generic because I feel like these guys do a lot of work, but it didn't seem very creative, I should say.
It was fine. It was just there. You had background noise.
Yeah.
I will say this for Mr. WillisOBrien. I think he did a great job for the stop motion on this. But I think one of my favorite stop motion movies is not WillisOBrien. It's his protege, Ray Harryhausen, you just spoke of, is Valley of Gwangi. That's some of the best stop motion, in my opinion. As you talked about smoothness, I cannot wait till we talk to that movie because it's just the best dinosaur cowboy movie. Speaking of dinosaur cowboy movies, fucking WillisOBrien wrote the other one that I always think of, Beast from Hollow Mountain, and that movie sucks a fucking dick. So, no offense, Mr. WillisOBrien. You do great work. This was also one of his last films. But talk about the director. This was like his fourth.
I don't think he's
final
gonna
film.
hear it.
This was his third to last film. Let's see, WillisOBrien.
Should have been his fourth to last or third to last.
He would do The Giant Behemoth in 1959. He did The Lost World in 1960, and his last one, which came out after he died, was It's a Mad, 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 Mad World.
Yep.
In 1963, because he died in 1962.
61? 60? Okay. I knew it was somewhere in that range. But yeah, very prolific. Two bigger actors, sorry, Hollywood individuals at the end of their career. So there you go.
Yeah. This movie does a better job at showing us an alpha like creature, and it taking like this is what I wanted to see with the raptors in Jurassic Park. As much as I love the raptors in Jurassic Park, I wanted to see this type of dynamic where you actually see like the alpha raptor taking out. Because remember, why can't I think of his name? Muldoon. Yeah, he tells him about how there was originally like 5, and the female took out all but 2. But I wanted to see that, and I wanted to see more from like the alpha female. And I know they wanted to, Spielberg wanted to keep them in the shadows and everything, and it made them scarier, and it's true. But I love the way that they have this like alpha scorpion just taking out all the other scorpions.
Yeah, and you don't even get it till later. It just like shows up like, that's a big motherfucker. And it's just rocking some shit.
Like literally just flipping them and just like right in the neck. Like it did.
Ow, bitch, like a fucking assassin, dude.
All right, yeah. I think there's no budget for this movie. There's nothing other than it got praised for its special effects, which of course, and and there's a whole section on the Wikipedia about the Mystery Science Theater 3000 version of the movie. So
I need to watch it. I never have. I've only ever watched the original version of this
I
movie.
have not watched a Mystery Science Theater episode since I was a kid. So it was really
So-
cool to go back and watch, especially an OG episode of the
Yeah.
show, because it's like I was like I was like, what year? And then they were doing fan mail at the end. And it was like 1990. I was like, damn, see, my ass wasn't even thought of yet. Like
This is what we grew
there's just a
up
twinkle
with.
in my mother's eye.
Well, see, I'm going to ask this for people who listen to this, the patrons and stuff, is as far as MST3K, I'm not going to count the new stuff because I've not really watched much of it. But like of the two original hosts, who do you prefer? Because I grew up, when I started watching it was Mike Nelson. And I like Joel. But
Well,
I've
Joel's the
always preferred Mike.
creator.
Yeah.
Like, Joel was the man who created it, and you could tell it was the beginning of the show because he definitely didn't seem like a type of person who was very good on camera. Like he was very like dry on camera. Like he still cracked his jokes when they're doing like the commentary, and they have the segments in between where they would talk about they were talking about Willis O'Brien in a certain spot because the two puppets were like had a stick figure of Joel on like a puppet thing.
Tom and Crow.
Yeah, and he just seemed very like non-expressive. Where I feel like I've watched one of the newer ones. I don't know if I've seen an episode with the host you're talking about.
Yeah,
maybe I have it, but it's been so long, it's kind of just like evaporated from my mind. But like I've seen an episode from the newer one, and like very bubbly, just maybe because it's been around for so long. And of course, you got celebrities now cameoing in the show and stuff. Where that was like it must have been like a PBS show. Like it seems like it was on, even though it wasn't, because they swear and they do a lot of I always thought it was a show for kids. Not really.
No.
Not really. No.
I was not supposed to be watching it when I watched it.
The original MST3K was actually on the original, not the stuff. It went to Sci-Fi, but originally it was a public access show.
Yeah, it
Wisconsin.
definitely felt like it. Yeah, 100%. Minnesota.
That's it. Sorry,
yeah.
I was. Yeah.
I only remember that because they tell you the address and it's in Minnesota. I was like, oh, okay.
That's the only, because I was like, oh, it started as this, and then Sci-Fi picked them up, and they kind of, it's the same premise, but they kind of rebooted the show as MST3. I think they had a different name for it.
And to be honest, if you want to watch some original Mystery Science Theater 3000 episodes, Tubi's got a bunch because it literally recommended me another one after I was done watching this. So and to be honest, I kind of want to go back. I kind of want to go back and go through some of them because they were pretty interesting.
If you could find it, I know they took it down. My favorite one is, it's a later season, but it's with Mike. It's The Final Sacrifice. It's the worst movie to ever come out of Canada. It's fucking hilarious, dude. I just killed it. There's no giant monsters in it, but it's fucking hilarious. And there's a lot of football humor in it. You would appreciate it.
Oh, man.
To answer your question,
huh?
Joel is my favorite.
You prefer Joel? That's fair.
I love Joel.
Joel's great. I like Joel too. But anyway, back onto the movie we're talking about.
Yeah, I think I'm good with all the behind the scenes stuff. I mean, we're not going to go into too much of it, but
there's not much to say. You got anything to preface before we start?
I have two areas of this movie that I predicted like right before it happened.
I believe it. Okay, so the movie starts off. We begin the film with it exploding. The movie just starts and explodes, but it's actually volcanoes, earthquakes, and how I don't know how this, like, the whole joint venture with Mexico went with making this movie, because they just make Mexico look like a shithole.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, Mexico's just a barren desert shithole, and a giant volcano pops up in the middle of Mexico, and it killed a bunch of people, and the farmland's all ruined. There's a snake in my boot.
And and then they bring in these.
Said that at one time. I just assumed that when they were filming this, that it was in like Arizona or New Mexico, and they were just facing Mexico, so
we're facing towards it. Yeah.
This is what it looks like. Not really.
But we essentially start the film with our two main characters. It's Hank Scott. Nobody cares about his last name. It's Hank, and
Hank
then
Scott.
It's Artur Ramos, but I just call him Ramos. But everybody just calls him Doc.
Yeah.
It's good. It's all that matters. They're good. I know you weren't. I like the human characters in this because I kind of like the little banter they got back, and then just their charisma, especially Richard Denning.
Let me clarify. There were certain when the human characters are dealing with the scorpions and trying to plan out ways to stop the scorpions. That was what I was most interested in. But then there's the love story.
Yeah.
With the main guy and the woman he's known for 2 minutes, and
Exactly.
That's what I don't care about. And then the kid sucked. Like and not the fact that like he sucked, like the actors sucked. I just hate how they wrote this character because he's a young kid who wants to help, but he ends up just fucking a lot of shit up.
Yes, typical.
There's a couple of times where I thought they called him Juanita, and I'm like, well,
yeah, it's like, well, no wonder it takes him that.
I flop at the love story, and you flop at the kids.
I hate these love stories. They're always in these fucking movies.
Love stories that happen in monster movies.
They're
like,
terrible.
stop it.
He's like, hey, did you see I killed the scorpion? Do you want to be with me?
She's like,
yeah.
Like giving him the eyes.
They're having like dinner and shit, and then they're like meeting. There's literally a scene where they are at a nightclub, and then she's like, oh, we're gonna go. He's like, oh, I'm gonna bring you somewhere for dinner. And she's like, well, if you have, we don't have dinner before 11 o'clock here. I'm like, fuck, what?
I'm
Who has dinner at 11 o'clock? What the?
No
fuck?
shit.
But no, there is a comment that he makes later on about, basically, that's not all we're doing tonight. And I'm like,
he's gonna stick in her butt.
It's come from,
dude. It's all up, dude. Listen, this shit. I'm assuming it's pretty racy for the 50s for some of the stuff they say.
Yeah,
but anyhow,
like that they're gonna go back to the hotel or wherever they're staying and do it like that. He's given her the fuck me eyes. Like,
oh no, that's at the end of the movie. That's at the end of the movie. It's at the end of the movie too.
Bitch.
Okay, so this is my first note after you see. Essentially, it's the thing is Doc and Hank. Ramos is just Doc. That's because that's what everybody fucking calls him in this movie, or at least that's what Hank calls him.
I didn't know he had a name other than Doc.
I had to fucking look it up until they get introduced to various people.
Yeah,
they're from the geology department. Hank's from the geology department of the U.S., and then Doc is from the geology department, essentially of Mexico. And they're going to check this area out because it's the random volcano that came out of the middle of fucking nowhere. They're gonna go check it out. So they're going to San Lorenzo, the direction they're heading in. And then you hear, as I put in my notes, angry ant noises, ?
As soon as I heard the noise, I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. 2 months in a row? We gotta cover a movie with this goddamn sound?
Yes. I don't think there's too many others that do this, but I'm just glad we got these fuckers back to back. I'm sorry.
Oh, before we move on, what did you think of the poster of this movie?
Oh, it's horrible.
The original one, where it's literally
terrible.
the goofy ass. I'm like, what is this?
It's terrible.
One tooth that's longer than the other.
If you're watching the video version, it's the poster I posted up there, and you could also see that I have the close up look of the scorpion right above us.
It's not even nothing is
it's
symmetrical. The eyes are wrong. The teeth are wrong.
It's great. It's great.
I should mention this movie opens with the usual monologue that these movies have.
So look at this right there.
Yeah, I like that poster way more.
Well, it's the black poster with like the goofy ass face, and then it's got like the woman with like her cleavage and like her boobs are about to fall out of her shirt. I'm like, when did that happen?
I know.
Use the German poster.
What fucking movie is this? Or Les, so that may be French.
Or
Les Scorpion Noir.
Okay, yeah, French.
Anyway,
use that one.
So
much better.
They're driving around in
looks like me trying to draw it.
That's how I draw. Actually, I draw worse than that. So they're driving out at night, and it's oddly bright. Mind you, this is a black and white film, and I talked about our previous black and white film looking good at night. This does not look good at night. You could clearly tell the fucking sun's out.
Squinting as he's looking at the guy. He's like...
They stumble upon, was this a wrecked house? A destroyed house. They stumble upon a destroyed house with a dead Buick.
It was like the whole hood. The whole hood was like torn up and stuff.
Yeah, it's a 55 Buick.
They were just
it was a police car, right?
Fix it.
Yeah, it's a Mexican. It's this Mexican.
Because then you got a guy going, Officer something.
Vega.
Officer Vega, are you there? Officer Vega, are you there? And they're like, hello? And they're like, hello, who are you? Is this Officer Vega? And they're like,
no, don't touch the fucking car.
So that's how the guy sounds on the radio. It's awesome. It's typical
the most American.
Yes.
The most American Hispanic person I've ever heard in my entire fucking
Wait, what? I didn't sense any Hispanic in that man's voice. It was just like, it was like this. It was like this. Hello.
He had to have been a radio personnel.
Oh, absolutely.
All I was thinking as he was saying this is I started quoting the Dr. Seuss book.
Oh,
I called
yeah.
you up to say hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me, Joe?
Oh, fuck. There was another one you did that. You quoted something else when they're on the radios. Oh, I don't remember what the fuck it was.
It's when he calls Major Tom.
Oh, yeah, Major Tom to ground patrol.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the cop's missing. The car's fucked up. There's nobody at this house, and then they hear like a rattlesnake. Right?
Mhm.
They go and check it out, and they just find a baby.
No, I said when this started, I said it's probably a baby with its rattle. These parents have run off.
Yeah.
Like this whole time, I'm like, it's a baby.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, it's a rattlesnake. And I'm like, no, they ran away. They left their baby. They're like, it'll be fine.
Hank's like, Doc, I found a baby. He's like, you can't just find a baby. Yeah, I did. He's like, no, it has to belong to somebody. He's like, it doesn't. I asked somebody. I said, is this your baby? They're like, no, it's not my baby. So I just found a baby.
Just ask somebody. And just looking at a wall. Hello, can I have this baby?
And then they make a joke about it being the most dangerous type of rattlesnake of all. All these fear and commitment jokes.
Yeah, I love though they bring the baby back to the vehicle, and then he hears something else, and he just puts the baby on the seat, and I'm like, that baby's just gonna roll off.
It did.
And there's no door. It's a Jeep.
Baby's fine.
The baby just
baby's
tumbled.
fine.
So
they
good.
didn't have car seats then.
Oh fuck that.
No.
Oh no, but I'm just saying, like,
then.
I was like, it would probably been safer just to put it on the floor of the vehicle, because
They
then
have
at least
a
it
bed
has
in the back. It's a Jeep. You can put it
whatever. It just didn't seem safe to put it on that, just to put it on the seat. Like
Lay it somewhere. It's gonna roll over and okay.
Well, then they find Officer Vega. He's a little stiff.
he's just leaning against the wall. He's standing up. That's a weird position to die in. Yeah, and he just
sir, you
falls
need
over.
medical resistance.
And his eyes are open too.
Yeah.
Fine.
And he takes his gun. He's like, Hank takes his gun. He's like, all the shots are fired. This is my favorite part. He picks up his gun. He's like, all the shots are fired. We better tell him on the radio. Like, runs over and tells him, like, my favorite, this is my fucking favorite part. He's like, so you're telling me you found Officer Vega and all the shots out of his revolver were fired? I was like, well, yeah, it would be a revolver if it was a fucking revolver. It's a semi-automatic pistol. It's a 1911. It's not a fucking revolver at all.
Well, doesn't he say like, did you find Officer Vega? And they're like, yes, he's dead. And they're like, are all the shots is there any shots left in his gun? They're like, no, they've all been used. He's like, okay, we'll send somebody down as soon as we can.
Yes. I know, and like they specifically, he's holding this like as
But he says it's a revolver.
yes, as these dudes, at least Hank Scott played in all sorts of military cowboy shows.
Yeah.
It's a fucking 1911. I'm surprised he's like, dude, this is not a revolver. It's a fucking semi-automatic pistol. I don't know if he was ever in the military or not, but I'm like, it's fucking not. Like, it's just not. It's not the same gun. So I'm sorry.
I just want to know how they knew by looking at it that all the shots are fired.
He dropped the mag.
Oh, okay.
He dropped the mag
missed
out
that
of it
part.
at first. He's like, all the shots are fired, and put it back in the gun.
I missed it.
Which again, he should have cleared it, but that's never mind. It's neither here nor there. Hollywood, baby. So they end up taking it to San Lorenzo, the baby, and they go to meet up with Father Delgado.
Yes.
They're like, hey, where's the mayor? Delgado comes up. He's like, here, have this baby I found.
And then he's just like, and then he just yells for a woman, and the woman's like, oh, the parents, they're dead.
Yeah,
I'll
like
take that baby,
know.
and then disappears, and he's just gone forever.
and it's just like,
You never know what happens to that
saying, like,
baby.
you find a baby, and it
Yeah.
just looks like a close up.
They give you
it,
like a
this
sack
is
of
baby.
gold or something. I don't know.
feed it beans and tortillas or whatever he says in the movie.
Yes, he's like, you probably feed it beans and tortillas too. I'm like, wait a minute. What?
He's like, I like a baby, feed my baby beans and tortillas for him to be this calm because the baby's not crying. It's all like chill and shit. I was like, it seems kind of like derogatory, but that's whatever. It was the 50s.
Yeah.
It's a different
You can say
time.
whatever you want back then.
Racially insensitive things were said a lot.
Like
back
I
then.
said, can't believe Mexico signed off on this shit.
That's why I said I don't think it was filmed in Mexico. I think they
Well, it probably was. They just didn't tell them what they did filmed in Mexico.
You didn't have to have a passport at that time. You could just go over the border and be like, we're going to be right here.
I'm not saying anything. Anyway. No, you're good.
It's the 50s.
I'm just kidding. Yes, it was a different time. You
It was
probably didn't
very
need a passport to go
different
between.
I mean,
I don't know.
dude made eyes at the lady and she's just like, yeah.
Her pants are just falling off the moment he makes eyes. But we're not there. We're getting there.
We're almost there.
So the citizens, essentially, they think there's some kind of demon bull running around that's killing people.
Yes.
There's families that are disappearing, people getting offed randomly, and they almost never find bodies except on very rare occasions when they do. And they're the same way the officer is. They're just kind of like eyes wide open, like look of fear and
Like
just
stiff.
dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. And cows are also being killed because, it's easy targets.
What?
The two bros meet Teresa, was Teresa Alvarez.
The weirdest way possible. Like literally they're sitting in a Jeep. They look in the binoculars, the Hank there. He looks through the binoculars, he sees her riding a horse, and then he gives it to the other guy to say, "Hey, you see that out there?" And she gets bucked off the horse, and it's just the horse. And he's just like, "Oh, it's a pretty horse." He's like, "No, there was a woman there." And then so they find her, and she's like, "Oh my God, I ride horses all the time. This was just a bad day. I do know how to ride, gentlemen." And I was like,
"Whoa, racy!"
And Hank legit is just like, "Mine. She's mine."
Dude, that's why I like Doc.
But even him, like, making the comments that he makes while she's riding, I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
dude.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. That's why I like Ramos, dude. And he's like, "Dude, I understand you got dick for a horse, man. I'm not going to judge you. America's a different place. It's fine."
Yeah, if Doc wasn't there, he would have whipped it out.
Absolutely.
I was just waiting for him to be tinting.
Yeah.
As he's.
I'm surprised she wasn't tinting after she.
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong.
Oh,
gorgeous woman, but like, dude,
she's really
relax.
pretty.
I will say,
but there's like steps to this. This is not just like,
he meets her,
hey,
and
I'm just gonna scoop you up in
2 hours. He is like madly in love with her, wants to move in with her. Like, what the hell?
I want to make this forever.
They got an hour and a half to get this dicking going, so they need them quick. Yeah. But Ramos is the cool dude. He's like, "Listen, man, I get what you want to do. You're a ladies man, whatever. But we got stuff to." He's like, "Let me go find." She's like, she gets it. She's like, ask her if she's okay. He's like, "Hank, take care of her. I'll go find the saddle." He finds a rock, a bit of obsidian. He's like, "Oh, cool," because they're geologists. Like, "Oh, this is fucking obsidian. This is cool shit." So they're like, and then she asks, "Hey, can you take, what'd you call it?"
I said it's poop.
It's volcano.
I thought it was a scale from the Scorpion at first. When he picked it up, I was like, "Oh, I wonder, is that a scale from the?" Nah, it's obsidian. I'm like, okay.
I just assumed
Minecraft players would like it.
Yeah. Well, you don't get that a lot.
No, well, Minecraft wasn't in Mexico in 1957. Anyway, so they take Teresa back to San Lorenzo because she's missing. She's lost her cowboys, and she needs to get her cowboys back. And
yeah, they all give her eyes.
And then she goes back into town. They all take her hats off, and she's standing there surrounded by these men. And I just think about the image of the one girl sitting on the couch with all the dudes behind her. That's the fucking first thought in my head. But she's like, she gets her cowboys back.
Okay.
Hey, listen, she knows how to ride.
She does.
She knows how to ride.
She does.
I pictured worse.
Yeah, she knows how to ride. Anyway, so she acquires her cowboys with very little, almost little to no, like, negotiating. Like, all right, we'll go back.
Especially the main one that she's talking to. She's like, if you don't do it for me, do it for
the farm.
Yeah. And he's like, okay.
Yeah. Because her dad's not around, I guess, and they used to work for her dad, and some were like born and raised out there along with her or whatever.
But like everybody else is like, no. And he's like, okay.
I didn't like how they made her Hispanic. Like they made her Mexican. It's like because like there's moments where she is not talking with an accent, and then she's trying to talk with an accent in some scenes, and I'm like, just stop.
I just pictured her as her dad was American and her mom was Hispanic, so she was kind of half raised with it.
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking just from what I've seen from her. I don't see any indications that she's Hispanic. She's from Santa Monica. I mean, I don't know.
But her last name is Alvarez, so maybe her dad.
I'm looking at the actual actress.
Oh,
well, no. I'm just saying her character name.
I bet her dad was Hispanic.
So her dad had to have been Hispanic and her mom was American. So maybe she was just kind of like there, but not.
Well, actually, she also says that she needed to go get livestock in the States. So she may have just had a lot of experience around English-speaking people. Yeah, maybe not even just her parents. That's just she has more of an American-style accent. Even though I do like her because as opposed to a lot of women of this time in these movies, she isn't the not always the screamy cry. She seems very positive and assertive and strong in a lot of her like comments and stuff, and I do like that.
She is not like the oh, please help
Until
me,
she
man.
gets around
Please
Mr.
help
Hank.
me, man. Now, even when she's around him, I mean, she's I feel like she's falling in love with him, but it's not that typical like, oh, Hank, oh,
Wound.
oh, yeah. She's just like, yeah, you're cool, yeah, we could be together. It's like,
so
sure.
they meet up with exactly, and they meet up with the doctor. I don't remember his name. Not Velasco or whatever. The other doctor.
Dr. Dela Cruz.
Yes. He's the one. They also one that tells them like, hey, we found out the officer Vega died from some organic poison. I have no idea, but now let's just drink some tequila.
Dude, I called this. He says he tells his Igor, his helper, that he wants this flask, beaker, whatever, test tube. He wants this one filled with this one filled with this. He wants one filled with tequila. I said, what do you want to bet? He says, that one's for me.
Yep. Sure as shit. And we all have a bro laugh moment between Doc and Hank and him.
And then he gets to the line. I was like, yeah.
So then he said he's going to send the poison off to Dr. Velasco, which is a big leading poison biological specialist in Mexico City. And Hank, Teresa, and Doc go back to her ranch, which is really nice. They have like a fucking estate. So they go back there, and then they meet this annoying ass little kid, Juanito, and he's I can't stand him. He's just a pain in the ass. All he does is scream like, I want to help, like constantly, and like, shut the fuck up, kid.
He's not feeling around.
I know, but he's just annoying.
He wants to be. He's half a man.
I mean, Hank's
he's
really,
7 and a half.
Really good to him. Hank treats him really
is.
nice, and you know, he shows off his like cowboy boots.
Yes.
He's like, when you get older, I'll get you a pair.
Yeah, he's like,
he's a cool guy about it.
Where are my boots? And he goes and he stares at him for 10 seconds, like,
I could eat these.
Like, hello?
This
would sustain me for months. Then they find Ramos finds out that inside the piece of obsidian is actually a scorpion, and they break it open very easily.
It's alive,
and it squeaks for some reason,
like a mouse.
Yes.
And I put it very specifically: scorpions don't squeak. Just to let you guys know.
Pretty sure I've never heard a scorpion make a noise.
And it was a real scorpion.
Yeah, it's 100% a real scorpion. I wouldn't touch that fat boy.
Because I said something about it being. I said, "What if it's an egg?"
Yeah, you did say that. Yep.
Isn't it the case though?
Open.
Something I remember probably watching on like Animal Planet. The bigger the scorpion is, like the less lethal they are, right? Is that usually
Sometimes.
how it's classified? Like usually the smaller ones are the most dangerous.
It's almost like it's concentrated.
Sometimes. There's not a whole lot of venomous species. Obviously, there's like a couple in the States, but they're in the area for it. You know, in between Mexico and southwestern United States. But
that you had though they weren't poisonous.
Oh, the ones I had? Well, I mean, all of them are.
I mean, yes, they could. Yes, they could hurt if it stung you.
But they're more docile and better.
Sometimes.
So
yeah, go ahead.
We have owned several exotic species of
bugs,
animals. We've had tarantulas. He's had scorpions. He's had centipedes. Centipede that attacked me. It literally chased me in the house. It chased me.
They're just assholes and they move.
It followed me in the house. I had to hide on a chair.
It could have climbed up that chair.
It could have, but it scared the shit out of me. Went to bed the night before, and he's like, "Oh, there's a piece of the cage missing."
No, it wasn't until the next day. I was like, "This is missing," and I found out the piece was missing.
No, it was because you were checking on everybody. He's like, "Oh, this piece is missing." He goes to work, and I'm at home. I was off, and all of a sudden, here's a centipede running after me.
It's like a 6 to 7 inch centipede.
It's like this
It's about like that wide. Fucking, it's hot.
He had to call a friend of his to come over and catch it for me. And I'm like, you didn't think to tell me?
Sorry.
Because he says the next day, "Oh, I wondered why a piece of the cage was missing."
I thought it was buried in its substrate hiding. I didn't think it was like out of the cage. There's a scolopendra from southern Missouri. But I did have a colony of scorpions. Let me tell you this because I got to talk about this. Their sting is like a bee sting. Like comparatively, they're small. Like tail pinchers and everything, they're maybe 3 or 4 inches long for our
They were the coolest thing to watch eat.
Because they're like, I had like 10 to 15 in a cage, and I just dumped in a bunch of rusty red feeder scorpions, and they do like in this movie. So fucking WillisOBrien did his damn research, and he did a great job. We'll talk about that when we get there. But they would like battle. Like you'd see like 2 of them, like they'd grab a fucking like cockroach and they'd fight, and one would take one, or one would grab the other one, like flip it over and try to sting it, like you'll see in this movie. But they can't get through the shell of the other one, so they end up just toss them out of the side and go after scorpion. They're docile. They're docile around. Like they'll cohabitate. They're gregarious, but the moment it comes to food, you don't fucking take food. It's like a prison fight, dude.
But it's so much fun to watch
Oh,
them
it's so entertaining.
because they get excited.
Oh yeah.
When they find food.
Oh god.
And then they do like this little like dance.
Yeah, their tails all go up and they kind of lift up and they got their claws and they go after shit. It's fucking cool.
Why is this so awesome?
Scorpions are sweet, dude.
And I hate invertebrates like that. I'm like, please don't look at me.
Thankfully they're mostly blind.
Yes.
But
that was nice to learn.
After they find the hidden scorpion inside the cereal box with one of 8 essential invertebrates inside.
Like, dump the whole thing out.
Yeah. They get a phone call. The lines are repaired because you see some linemen working on telephone lines earlier, but it's not super important. It's just for this payoff. Yeah. But again, back to the sheer amount of Hispanic actors in this movie. I'm glad there's a lot of Hispanic actors, white people, a bunch of white people playing Hispanic. Well, I know that exists. I'm just saying. I'm just glad there's more Hispanic actors. So they're like, oh, the line's finished. You know, they do like old telephone operators. They could tap the line from the pole and call people. And they call her like, oh, cool. And like while they're on the line, like a fucking scorpion, just huge motherfucker out of nowhere, and like murks this one dude. And then like hides under the bridge.
Yep.
And you gotta see it like shuffle out of the bridge. And dude, the movement is like he must have just watched real scorpions. He's like, I'm gonna watch these fuckers and model the movement, and he just nails it.
So good.
And then they're like
they don't just walk. They don't walk straight. They a lot of times they do walk that sideways kind of.
Well, because of the way that they could pretty much move in any direction.
Yeah, and you get this cool perspective of the dude on the pole looking down, and you can see the scorpion kind of like peeking out from under the bridge.
Yeah.
And he tells his other bro, like, get in the truck. And then like the scorpion fucking goes up there and like gets on the front of the truck and like stings through the window and gets the dude. Yeah. The truck didn't have a windshield for some reason, but I thought that was weird.
I just assumed it was the type of truck they had because it was the covered like almost military-like vehicle.
I wonder if it was an old military truck they just used for that.
I just assumed it was their work truck.
Then like flips over the fucking truck and then ends up like pulling the line dude off. And it's cool because you actually see it like grab the dude and like stings him and everything. Like, and then you hear the dude screaming on the other end of the line, and they're like, "Oh shit, where's this specific location, the bridge or wherever they were at? Let's go check it out." I don't know how they figured it was at the bridge.
Because he didn't say anything.
No, they're just like, "It's the bridge." Like, I guess that's where they saw him earlier in the day, maybe. But they don't. But they don't put that.
She assumed she knew where they were because I guess that was the closest.
And yes, and Juanito's like talking while this is all happening. There's like a dog that he's talking to. What's the dog's name? Do you remember? I can't remember the dog's name. But the dog wants out of the movie. The dog's like, I'm not dealing with this shit. There's too much going on. The dog's forgot and just bolts. And Juanito,
the dog, like, you got to be good. You got to be quiet. Like,
I'm gonna throw you outside.
Yeah.
And then so Juanito goes chasing after the dog again, nameless dog, and Scorpion's attack.
He says the dog's name.
Yeah, because
over and over.
Yeah, I can't remember it though. It's not important.
Because
no, it's not important.
Hank, Doc, and Teresa are gonna leave, and then they hear like he's going after the dog, and they hear screaming like, "What's going on with Juanito?" And it's just fucking scorpions, everywhere, and just they try to defend the ranch. They're like, I gotta call back to town, blah 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 blah, and then like an earthquake hits the town and scorpions, and it's this really weird.
Oh, I thought it was the volcano erupts.
It does, but there's also seismic activity and the scorpions come at the same time. Because like remember it cuts to a shot of the house, the operators and like falling apart, and then there's just a scorpion. But it's that weird Green's edited in green screen Scorpion that's like semi-transparent black. It's supposed to fit with all the people running away, and it's clearly a stop motion Scorpion, but it just looks garbo. No offense, it just doesn't look great, but it's, you know, it is what it is. So scorpions and earthquakes destroy essentially their ranch and San Lorenzo.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. Hold on, I gotta go back to my notes. They meet back up at San Lorenzo. All of the three main characters, Teresa, Doc. Whenever I say the main characters, Teresa, Doc, and Hank.
Yep.
That's the three. That's our three core. They go back there and then they meet Dr. Velasco, who is the poison specialist from earlier, and he's like, "Oh, this is a scorpion, and there's some other bacteria along with it, but it's a scorpion." And they have that baby scorpion from earlier, or the escape scorpion they found earlier. It's in a jar of water for some reason, but that's not a fucking scorpion in that jar. That is a frog or a lizard. Look at it, and if you go, seriously, pull this fucking scene up. If you have never seen this movie and watch it, it is not, and that's the thing, and it's not what that fucking is in that jar. That thing has 4 legs, and it is not the shape of a scorpion, not even remotely.
Well, it's like when they break open the obsidian, and when they first find the scorpion, Juanito brings over a jar. Like, how did he know that they were going to need a jar?
Just had a jar.
He's just like,
I want to help.
You want to help? And then you see that, and I'm like, what the hell did he put in the jar? Did he do it? Did they do it? Did they just run out of scorpions?
Well, Juanito says, it was like, I know where millions of scorpions are.
Oh, well.
Then, of course, I put this in the notes, and it says Hank signs his own death warrant. Listen. This is what does he say specifically? He's talking to Juanito in his room. This is around the time of telling him he'd get in his own boots.
Juanito tells him not to get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, I promise I won't get hurt. And I'm like, well, he did.
Yeah, this is like, we were for sure like, this fucker's iced. Like,
because any other movie that we have watched recently, anytime somebody says, oh, I got this, or I'm not going to get hurt, or, you know, you'll see me later, they're dead.
Yeah, pretty much. And then we hard cut to them finding some, like, it's the main group, it's Dr. Lorenzo, it's the military. They go check out the base of the volcano, and they find a new opening, which a man promptly falls into.
With his horse.
With his horse. Just fucking falls into it.
Just bye.
They're watching him. They're like, oh, he just fell in.
I assume... Like,
maybe we should follow him.
You know, like Teresa seems concerned, but everybody else is like, oh, he fell.
He's all right.
We should do something, but should we? I don't know. And then they don't feel like they were going to explore this new opening anyway.
Yeah.
We don't need a man to fall in to prove a point, but
whatever.
They erect the crane. They have to get lowered down into it on like this basket thing.
He throws a rock in there first before, and you never hear anything. I'm like, when the guy on the horse fell in, it looked like it was just kind of a slant. Like, here he is, and like, here you are throwing in a rock? Like, where's it gonna go?
I don't remember if I threw a rock into that cave like that by our house.
Oof.
I have a cave like this by our house.
Do not remind me, because I thought about that the entire time we were watching this.
Yeah, no fun. It's either that or it's the creatures from the Descent. It's either one. It's one of the two.
No, all I could think of is somebody falling in.
Oh, I know. I don't want to talk about that. They've already found dead people down there.
Yeah, don't.
Anyway, it's either that. It could be mole people. But damn it. So they of course, Hank and Doc have to do it because they're the geologists. They're the big guys.
Yeah.
Teresa's like, don't go. He's like, I have to. I'm a man. This is my job.
Pretty much. That's exactly what he says. I have to because I'm man. You woman, you stay up here.
Yeah. Now go make me a sandwich.
You just said that. I am a man.
I'm a man. That's SpongeBob. I am a man. He holds up that razor.
No, anyway. All I can think of is atop the fourth wall.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Punch. Wears a pretty hat.
Yep.
So they lower down in the cage, like a little basket cage. Mm-hmm. It's Hank. It's Doc. They got respirators on. They got the canaries, if they die.
Yes, which is cool. I like that touch.
Their masks.
Yeah, they don't even wear their masks, but they just go down with it open.
Yeah, the whole canary thing I thought was really cool. I like how they added that because that is something that was done a lot in like coal mines and a lot of mining work. Just because if the birds stop squawking, then usually that's bad. So
that's okay.
Cool. Unfortunately, we did mention before they get lowered around, Juanito tags along for no reason to be annoying.
Yeah.
And then they lower down.
After they tell him to stay.
Yep, after they tell him to stay because he's an idiot. They go down to the cave and start looking around this big cave where there's a big bat. It wasn't as cool as the bat on the string, but it was still a bat. It was a stop motion bat.
Yep.
And of course, because they went down to the cave, Juanito's there too. Because as I put in my note, Juanito tags along because he's an idiot.
Yeah.
I have walked away during that part because I'm like, how did he get in there?
Yeah, because they have the oxygen tanks. I was telling you, they have the oxygen tanks, and then they have the canaries sitting on top of it, and he's like underneath the canaries behind the oxygen tanks.
Yeah, their suits were laughable.
Yes. There's this giant. You see a scorpion in a wall, like being an asshole, and then he's like, and then like
easily could have just
they flip
reached
off.
out and just cut that line.
Yeah.
Oh,
end the movie.
They get then they see the weird looking worm thing that they call the worm.
Yep.
And I have it here. Scorpion fights worm.
Yep.
It's an epic battle. And then another scorpion shows up, and I distinctly put they ate Wormy. So if anybody remembers the Wormy episode of SpongeBob, it's a fantastic episode.
Yeah, and then big scorpion kills little scorpions.
Big scorpions show up. Yep, kill little scorpions. Like, that's the granddaddy of all scorpions.
Yep, that
which
must
I think
be
of
the
these
leader.
Yep, and like ice them, like just grabs, flips over right in the neck, and it's like some blood and stuff.
Yeah, that's when Hank's just like, oh, that's his weakness. There's a soft spot.
But they're not crabs. Are you going to hit them in their weak point for message damage?
They are related. They have a weak point. It's their laugh sack.
Listen, dude had double. He had a double.
Yeah, the scorpions do have double chins. It's really weird. It's very unusual.
That's not what they look like.
Juanito almost gets killed by this goofy ass trapdoor spider that doesn't look like a spider. It like cackles. It runs after. It's fucking weird.
Thing from Mario that they're red and yellow, and they have like the little.
You little beetle bug guys?
Yeah.
Oh, with the wings? Or there's one of the ones that got the little spike on their back.
Sometimes they have a spike, but sometimes they're just red. They're red and yellow, and they have like the little yellow, like trumpet-looking things on there.
I think I'm talking about this.
That's all I could think of because it goes like this around its butt. It has like 4 legs?
I guess it's got like 4 legs it runs on. And it's got like 2 or 4 out like that it grabs with. It's the weirdest fucking trapdoor spider I've ever seen in my life. It might even
That's
be that.
what I had said. Like, oh, it's a trapdoor spider.
Because it is. Because Juanito like sees it moving, like, let's lift this up. There must be fucking, I don't know, enchiladas in here.
It really looked like a spider. It kind of looked like a tick.
It looked dumb. Yeah,
it was more like a tick.
But I will say, allegedly, I don't know if this is true. This is what I had heard. The worm and the spider thing were actually props from the Kong spider pit scene that was originally filmed in the original 33 Kong. That obviously was lost. It's been lost to time.
That's cool.
And allegedly those were original props from that he reused because he made them. Right. So that's what I've heard. Anyhow, then the giant granddaddy scorpion kills the elevator because it doesn't like progress or humanity. It's like, fuck your oxygen tanks and your canaries, and like stings it, throws around, clips the line. Boop, I'm out.
Is this the scene with the one that keeps pulling on the...
Yeah, pulls on the basket and the crane, yeah.
And the crane keeps doing this, but it's like pulling down and the crane keeps doing this.
Yeah.
I'm like, it would have pulled that crane.
There's not that kind of elasticity to that line.
No, he would have pulled that guy in. Like, if I were the guy in the crane, I would have been out.
Some strong-ass Scorpos. Scorp, as I have them have Scorps, is what I call them.
But the scorpion pulls it all the way to the floor.
I know, it's like...
And it's still doing this.
He's like, I'm just doing a workout, guys.
Yeah. Slack line, like...
After the elevator gets killed and the black scorpion, this is the titular black scorpion, the big one. And Doc grabs onto the line and they pull him up. And of course, there's the dramatic, is he going to fall? Is he going to make it? And he makes it to the top.
With blood on his hands.
All blood on his hands and stuff. He's all sweating. Like, oh, made it. Put it back down. Put a loop on the rope. Those guys are on it. They put a loop. They lower it back down.
Yeah, because the whole time he's getting pulled up, you think he's going to fall.
He's like slipped in. Yeah. Dramatic.
Because he slips all the way to his feet are like dangling at the end of the line. Like, why did he not like wrap it around his leg or something?
It's hard to wrap that metal line, I guess. I don't know. That's going to get you tetanus.
Well, I mean, his hands are bleeding, so...
Yeah. They put the loop, they send it back down, they get Hank and Juanito out. And Bob's your uncle. Everybody wins. And then they're like, we're going to blow up in the entrance. They'll never get out. And he's like, look at the size of that crevice. It's not going to fucking fill in. He's like, we're blowing it up anyway. And then they blow it up, and they blow up half of Mexico in the process, because that's what it looks like, because half the fucking volcano just... Like, how big of an explosion was this? What'd you put in there?
It was quite a large explosion.
I just after they do it, they just like, job well done, everybody. Hey, and then Hank's like, hey, girl, you be mine now? And she's like, oh, I guess. Yeah, it was weird.
So now here's the honeymoon.
Yeah, we don't have to talk much about this because it's just so pointless.
There's some padding of them like trying to or like boning each other or something.
Yeah, literally cut all of this out.
Yeah, right. They eventually they just like Dr. Velasco's like, hey, you guys need to come back to Mexico City. We need to talk to you about something. He's like, but our trip. He's like, just come back. Oh, we'll cancel it for a sixth time. And then he's like, they get off the phone, whatever they go. Everybody goes, Teresa, Doc, whatever, and Hank. And then Velasco's like, did you tell them about it? He's like, no, they cannot know yet until they get here. Yeah. But really what you find out is there's more scorpions near Mexico City. They found a corpse of a scorpion near Mexico City. Like there's like underground cave systems, which were near this other one, and they feared they could come out near these train tunnels by Mexico City. And you know what? That's exactly what happens. The scorpion comes, and this is a fucking cool scene because it's just like train going, dude's like boop boop. He's got his whole sheet behind him while he's doing the train. Did you notice that? If you look at the background, it's just a fucking sheet.
I pointed.
She did. Yes, she did.
It's a wrinkled sheet with lights flashing behind it.
I love the scene though. I love the scene where they make the train crash. I love it when it's grabbing the little clay humans because of course
it's fucking them up, dude.
They're just fucking grabbing them and tossing them.
It.
And, yeah, and then of course you get the news report on the radio. This is like that's so crazy. They're giving so much detail on this news report of just like, you know, train derails. It's like, you know, reports of black scorpions that attacked and killed 149 people, and they're like, holy shit, this is getting crazy.
Some bodies are unrecognizable.
Yeah, like literally. Some of them are so some of them are so badly injured that they're pretty much gonna die. You're like,
they're dead.
Wow.
But it's like, is this current day with like social media? Like this just happened.
Shit. Yeah, how the hell did they get that info?
Did they have cell phones?
The guy who
like,
does.
How did they get that?
Who's doing the Morse code is just like, and then he dies right after he sends the message.
Yes. Well, I want to say, dude, like, I want to go back a second and talk about that train. It just hits that fucking scorpion just head the fuck on.
Oh, yeah.
It's just boom, and it just carts and shit.
People just like,
yep.
Shit.
People go everywhere, and that's like the scorpions like fighting over the people. That's how it's like in real life. Yeah. Like the ones we told you about we had, same shit.
It's great.
Then the big
fight over people.
And the big scorpion comes in and just murks a bunch of other smaller scorpions again.
Yeah, when it stings them, it cuts back to the cave though.
Yeah,
3 times.
There's one shot they'll do. Like, we can't do this shot again, Mr. Harryhausen. So they just keep repeating the same shot in the wrong location. Whatever.
Again.
They find out that they can derive the poison from the scorpions and put it in their the thing in their neck. Like, why don't you just shoot them in the neck?
Their weak point for massive damage.
Yes. Well, they talked about poison gas earlier in the movie. Like, what would gas with poison? Well, their circulatory system won't allow that because of this. And I'm like, that's not how their circulatory system works. They have like box lungs and gills, like similar to like a gill-like structure. They breathe passively more so than they do like we do. We're not active breathers. But whatever.
They breathe on the outside.
So I gotta go back. Big scorpion already left one. So essentially, the big scorpion rolls up, and an excuse to get rid of all the other scorpions. They just say, "Well, the big scorpion just killed them all." So they kill all the other scorpions off screen, outside of a few that gets killed on screen. I think it was a budget thing.
Like, how many extras were there? They're like 4.
Yeah,
and you see,
they're like, it killed 4 scorpions, but it probably killed the rest. Like, okay, let's just jump to that assumption. But you weren't cool with just blowing up the one entrance.
We're just guessing.
Yes. And then the giant shadow scorpion attacks Mexico City.
Oh my god! I was like, what? They couldn't afford? They couldn't afford any more stop motion. Until they got to the stadium.
Nope.
Because it's a whole ass.
Hilarious.
shadow scorpion behind
The
a
people.
grid.
Oh,
But it's
that's
behind a
right. When he
grid.
goes under the arch, you can see the
Yeah.
grid on the van. I was like,
Yep.
wait. But it's great because the shadow scorpion, of course, like the people are running away, and the shadow scorpion, they didn't track it to make it so it's just running over people. It just goes
Yeah, it's
over
like,
the
whatever.
They're all right.
This is our titular black scorpion because it's the only one left, like we talked about. And
Yeah.
this is where like we'll lead it to the stadium. Let's get all these meat corpses or like cut in half, cows and stuff like this. And for those of you who've seen the movie, this just reminds me of the Gauss scene from Gamera Guardian of the Universe, where they put all the dead fucking cows in the stadium.
Bring out your dead.
Yeah, and they've got the cart with them, like he's following the cart, like they're bringing him to the stadium with like these meat giblets. And that's where it's Army versus Scorpion in the football/soccer stadium, even though it looks like a American football stadium. It's not look like a soccer field, not even remotely. And so their plan is to have, oh my god, they're going to shoot this electrical probe into the Scorpion's neck and juice him with 600,000 volts. But they're going to have Mexican, totally not Mexican, Sergeant Slaughter.
Oh god,
shoot this thing. But we do get some cool scenes here. I will say we do get some really awesome stop motion of the Scorpion.
No. This is not what I'm laughing at. I'm thinking of this exact scene.
You know what's coming up, and she's laughing about it.
All the stop motion is fantastic. Of course, it like
kills the fucking helicopter.
What's with the helicopter? Yeah. Why was the helicopter going so low?
He's just there.
And it throws the tank. It's just like,
yeah, and it literally just takes that helicopter and just like splits it in half. But my favorite part is when the military guy shoots the thing and it misses. And they're like, you missed. And of course he's just like, okay, just gotta bring it back. And then he grabs it and the fucking thing is still on. So he's like,
he's like, collapses. They're like, okay, that guy was pointless. And now, of course, it's like, it's up to, I thought Ramos was going to do it. I thought Doc was like,
it's up to these two guys that are not dressed for the occasion, by the way. They're in like suits and ties and stuff.
Party suits.
Oh my god.
But dude even says, I've never shot something like this before. Like, why are you making him responsible for this?
Yeah, and then it's literally like you said, it's Doc and Hank, and I'm like, Doc's the turn. I was like, awesome, dude, Doc, you got to save the day. Yeah. But of course, it's got to go to fucking Hank so he can dick down the lady later. Excuse me. And then this is
I saved the day.
This is some
get her prize.
He gets mouth present. This is my favorite. It's done. It doesn't matter. This is my favorite stop motion in this entire movie. So of course they nail it on the second shot, and it squeals like a pig when it gets shot. But when it cut, because it's the really crappy. Literally. We don't talk about the zoom in puppet thing because it looks like shit. But when they go to the stop motion, it's fucking brilliant.
Yeah,
WillisOBrien, because it gets hit and the Scorpion properly reacts by grabbing the probe and fighting it, and it's rubbing its body against the ground, trying to get it out, and flipping over and writhing. It's beautiful animation that shit. I'm no offense, it shits over most modern CG.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They don't even have that because I know it's stop motion, but it feels like it has so much more weight to it. Even though it's just a tiny mannequin toy, it feels like it has so much more weight to it than a lot of CG that's so fucking floaty. Yeah. And you can see this animal writhing and moving and all this stuff, and it just feels realistic behaviorally. I don't know.
It looked fantastic.
So it gets probed, it gets electrocuted, it dies. I'm surprised the Scorpion doesn't just fucking blow up, and
then it's literally just the end.
Yeah, and then like it's Dr. Velasco or whatever his fucking name is, Valesco, and like he's like, Hank and Teresa are gonna go dick down. And he's like, wait, we're not done yet. And Hank's like, oh, we're not done either. Like da 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 da, and he's just like smiles and shakes his head and fucking Ramos like, I gotta do the fucking work. Nobody else is gonna go.
Yeah, seriously,
like, go get your dick wet, dude. And then it ends.
Yep.
And we get kind of pans out at the dead Scorpion and like the destruction. You can see all the other stuff it blew up with stop motion.
Yep.
There you go. And Parker.
I had a lot of fun with this movie. I love just all the stop motion. It just was so flawless. It was gorgeous for 1957. Like, wow. Like there is claymation that it doesn't even come close to what this looked like. And that's where it derived from. And the fact is like maybe it was on purpose. That's how they made them look. But like these scorpions, you could have said they were real, and I would have been fooled. Like they could have just been like, yeah, we just did a projection of a real scorpion, to make it look bigger, and I would have been like, oh, cool. But the fact that this is some guy literally moving the scorpion little by little for thousands upon thousands of times to get this shot, and it just looks so fucking smooth. It's amazing. The human aspects were okay, especially when it has to do with killing the scorpion, but like the love story was so dumb. It was so pointless to everything, and the little kid, he just made poor decisions.
Why need though?
Overall,
where's your parents?
Yeah, I would.
It's Fanny.
I think if I were to give this a rating, I mean, I did rate it on Letterboxd. I think I rated it like a 3 out of 5. Just mostly based on the creature effects and I think the human aspect of this was definitely better than I think Varen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wife.
I don't know if I've seen this movie before. I know we have it. We own it. I don't know if I've seen it. So I'm going to assume this is the first time I watched it. Loved it. I love stop motion just because I know the work that goes behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And to see some of the stuff that's come out of it today, like Nightmare Before Christmas, like to see that this is where it all started. Yeah, I can point out some of the, the sheet behind the guy, but that's all what makes it even better for that scene. Like, that's practical effects, and practical effects are just, you cannot recreate them with CG.
Yeah, we pointed out that it's probably because that we're watching this movie at a resolution it wasn't intended to be viewed in as well for the sheet. So.
We saw the other thing with the line that went across.
Fuck. Oh, it was when the scorpion was attacking Mexico City.
It was like a shiny line that went all the way across. I was like, I don't know what it is, but looks cool. It probably wasn't even a part of the scenery. He said it looked like a banner.
I don't know. I couldn't.
I thought it was just like a line that they were pulling, whatever it was happening along. But yeah, I hate love stories that aren't necessary.
Yeah.
If it's a love story movie,
it's just there to be there.
I hate love stories in monster movies. Hate it.
I do too. I was gonna say that. It just they never seem genuine, and they never seem like they need to be there. Like I don't think it's gonna change anything in the story itself or in the movie itself. It's just there to be there. Because we always have to have some sort of fucking love story.
No, I just hey, I just met you and this is crazy, but here's my number. Let's fuck later, maybe.
Okay, I thought you were gonna say Black Scorpions. Maybe I was like, where are we going with this?
I am clipping that. And
please
sharing it to everybody. Maybe we will.
This is what you're missing on Patreon.
That's so good.
That's good. Thank you, dear. Thank you.
They're just so unnecessary. It's like you met like 5-10 minutes ago, and he's already in love with her because he saw her ride a horse.
We've seen it so many times in the movies we've covered.
You rode that horse like a professional. Maybe you can.
She thought she could ride a horse professionally because of all of her cowboys.
Yeah.
She's like, this is the same, riding one of these. It's the same thing.
I'm glad I'm finally getting clipped.
I'm glad you are too. Good. So is that a yay, or you said a yay for the movie?
Would I watch it again? Yes. Just for the effects. Like, I would probably fast forward through all the shit talk.
That's fair.
Yeah, watch the MS Mystery Science Theater. I don't know the fucking acronym.
MST3K.
Sure.
That's what we do when we watch the movies. Like, there was a couple of times where I was just like,
we just poke fun with endearingly. It's like Var. When I was kind of talking shit about it, it's out of love.
Yeah, it's all.
I actually did not see this movie until I was a little bit older. If you guys remember when TCM, Turner Classic Movies, used to do really good Halloween months. They used to have like a week or two solid, or even the whole month of like they would just play like 50s horror movies. Like it was just monster meat, 24 hours a day for like 2-3 weeks a month, however long. And then they switched to horror films, which was fine. I don't remember what they call it, and I watched this on there one time. That was my first experience with it, and ended up picking up the Blu-ray, and I covered this on my thing I talked about last week, which I still didn't give you the stuff for. When I did my reviews, I did do the TheBlackScorpion. That's how I knew I owned it, because I had to have the DVD for it. But I like this movie. I love the campy 50s bro machoism between, was mainly Hank, but Ramo or Doc is awesome. And I like how Doc isn't shit on, because unfortunately a lot of the sidekicks, or usually they're Hispanic or whatever, are kind of dumped on a lot, and I hate that, but he was not treated that way. And I didn't mind Teresa, even though it was just her and Hank making sex eyes at one another the whole fucking movie. And but the human characters were adequate. We're actually probably above average for some of these movies I've watched. But again, like we said, the stop motion by WillisOBrien is the fucking hallmark of this movie. I don't think it's his best work, because it was limited to the budget he had in this movie. This was still a cheaper film, still be rated movie, and he was a lower to mid tier one at that. But it still did a great job. He's a master of his craft, even with the stuff he was given. And even then, I figured as this movie not having a big budget, that there would be less, but there was actually a good amount of stop motion in this movie, because it felt like, well, we better do less of this to make it less expensive of a movie. But the music was fine. It was very stocky, but it was good. I do enjoy this movie. I don't usually like doing number ranks. I'm just going to say I recommend it, but I'll probably end up recommending most of these. But I think if you just like movies this era or monster movies, I'd say check it out.
I am from TCM country.
Are you?
They're out of Atlanta.
That's right. We drove by their studios.
Yep, their studios downtown Atlanta.
Yep.
I think Martin Scorsese just bought it or whatever, because they were going to close it. They were going to shut it down.
So it's in where it's headquartered at is in a weird part of Atlanta. It's right on the interstate, but it's not where people have a lot of access to.
Well, I mean, they don't really need access to Turner Classic headquarters.
No, they don't.
Somebody getting arrested at your house?
There's cops
Police,
driving by our house. Like, the road is just right outside our window.
Just some hot action tonight.
There's no buffer between us and the railroad tracks and the road. But they're in a building with a bunch of different, like, Cartoon Network and...
Well, yeah, because it's all owned by Turner.
Yeah. That part of Atlanta is just kind of like going downhill.
PBS and all that. Yeah, because I'm one of my friends actually worked down at Atlanta for a bit.
Oh, there you go.
Because it's right across from the Varsity, and the Varsity actually had...
Because he worked at...
Yeah, said something about them closing, and Granny was very upset, but it was a rumor.
Oh, okay.
No, but
we're gonna wrap.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, I was just gonna wrap it up. Do you have anything else you want to add before we do?
I have nothing else to add other than...
No, I need to go to bed.
Other than check out this. It's on Tubi right now if you want to watch the Mystery Science Theater version of the movie. I thought it was a good time. So yeah, if you want to check it out there.
Yep. We're gonna wrap it up. Thank you very much, Mr. Parker, wife,
me,
Angela, and I'm Dan, and we're gonna get out of here.
He's hearing things too.
What?
Did you not see him?
There's a small earthquake in my house. It's fine.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Oh, we got cops, you got earthquakes, and then eventually you'll have a volcano and scorpions in your backyard. So, we'll catch you guys on the next episode of MonsterZone.
Bye.
Bye.